What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And this is our currently untitled podcast project. Now, I will tell you, at some point we talked about just calling it the Big Breakfast Podcast, but we opted not to do that, I think, as of right now. We were talking about the Boogie Nights Podcast, which is an old name I used to use for the channel. That's the Boogie Nights shield there behind me, for those of you who have never seen that. But the problem is, it's 2018, and I think the term Knights has a negative connotation now, doesn't it? Like, it's, I don't know. I will tell you this. We have now thrown it out to you guys to see what kind of names you have suggested, and I will read some of those that we've seen on Twitter. I would love to know if you guys have some suggestions for names in the comment section below. But let me start you off by introducing you to the boys over there at Big_Breakfast on Twitch TV. We'll start off with a good friend, Jacob. Jacob, we've known each other about how long now?
5 or 6 years.
Yeah, we met over a game of Magic, if I remember correctly.
That's absolutely right.
And we've been playing Magic, I guess, off and on the weekends for a long time. So what is it you do over there on Twitch?
Well, we basically do this. We kind of have conversations. We talk to each other. We talk to our viewers. We like to answer weird questions. The weirder, the better. Oh, yeah. And I would also like to add, I have an idea for the name.
What's the name?
The podcast The Big Stack.
Oh, like a stack of pancakes?
Like a stack of pancakes.
Oh, man, I kind of like that. Jeez,
I like the really big stack. That's good.
I like that.
It's out there. Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Sure. And so, Jacob, tell them a little bit about you. What kind of, so you are a gamer. What kind of video games do you like to play?
I like to play a little bit of everything. I mostly like strategy and shooter games. But my favorite game is Binding of Isaac. I've put the most hours into that. I love that game. I'm super excited about new content coming up.
Oh yeah, I got a little bit of a preview. I actually backed the card game, so that should be at my house very soon. We'll be able to play the Binding of Isaac card
There's a
game.
Binding of Isaac card game coming.
Yeah,
because that is my jam.
It's so yeah.
I love Binding of Isaac.
I think
I cannot stop playing card games.
So Ed and I have talked a little bit. I guess I should say, you know, for the effort of full disclosure, me and Ed have talked a little bit. We're not friends, but we are friendly. And I wanted to help promote his game a little bit when I backed it. So I guess this counts as promotion or something like that for a friend. So you should know that ahead of time. That said, the project looked really interesting, but I didn't deep dive too much into it. It kind of looks like a deck building game. It kind of looks, I'm like, man, anything he promotes, anything he builds with Binding of Isaac, I'm going to invest in. So I got like the $200 signed edition with like all the extras and the cool stuff. And believe it or not, it was my very first Kickstarter project. I've never Kickstarted anything ever, but because I feel like I know the guy, because I'm such a loyalist to his products, whether it's Meat Boy or whether it's Binding of Isaac or anything else that he's created. What was that one game that went, like, nobody seemed to notice? The one that you could play...
The End is Nigh?
Yeah, The End is Nigh. That's now available on Switch, by the way, which I need to pick up on Switch. I played it on PC, and I streamed it, and my audience is like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, it's made by the guy of Binding of Isaac. And they're all like, well, then play Binding of Isaac instead. Why are you playing this? I'm like, but yeah,
what kind of game was it? Was it another?
It was a platformer, and it was kind of like Meat Boy, kind of inspired in some ways, but it had like this really dark storyline to it, and it was playable in like multiple different ways. Like if you just wanted to get through the game and hear the story, that was possible, which you really couldn't do with like Meat Boy. Like you had to be good to play.
Meat Boy was hard.
Right, Super Meat Boy. But this game, there was paths where you could easily take it, and it wasn't too difficult. But if you wanted to get all the collectibles, if you wanted to explore every level, if you wanted to get every cutscene and all the little weird details, then you had that option. And I don't know why that game didn't perform as well as I would have expected it to. I thought that was going to be the next speedrunner, awesome, yeah, and it just wasn't.
Maybe it's just a demographic, right?
Right. So then we have my good friend Ellis. Ellis. So what is it that you? So you're pretty much the weirdest one over there on Twitch, I think. Because when I watch the Twitch streams, I'm often like, this guy's just weird. You know.
Well, coming from you, I don't really know how to take that.
But... Oh, you should take that. You should see. That's the worst. Here's my biggest issue
when
doing a podcast.
Boogie2988 calls me weird.
Here's the thing. These guys have known me so long. They have watched my evolution on YouTube where I went from guy eating meat shirtless and doing fruit salad videos. Those videos are still available here on YouTube. I'm proud of those videos to some extent. But they've known me on a very personal level. So when I'm sitting around drafting Magic and I say something stupid, just, I want to be the chief of police, they're just so used to my brain not working. They come over on a Friday or Saturday night, and they're like, what are you doing today, Boogie? And I was like, oh, I don't know, just thinking about how great it'll be to die one day. You guys want to draft Magic? Not now. Not now, you depressive
now I don't want to draft
monster.
Magic.
Now I just kind of want to go home. You're a difficult friend.
That is not something we've ever said.
But Ellis also a gamer, someone who's played Magic with me quite a bit. I think that's how we met. You came down and played some Magic with some friends at our local gaming store, borrowed some Magic cards off of me, and did poorly with them, I should point out.
I did so bad.
Yeah, you
gave me bad cards. They were cursed.
To this day, no, it's not. To this day, I still have Liliana the Veils and Snapcasters that you borrowed that feel bad about themselves because they were like Snapcasting.
How do I lose with
twice?
those cards?
I know. You're just like, can I borrow $8,000 worth of stuff for this Friday night Magic? And I'm like, yeah. And you come back and you're like, I went 0-4. I'm like, what happened?
I was a wee bab, okay? I didn't know what I was doing. I just got back into Magic. I hadn't played in like 4 or 5 blocks or something like that, not since high school. And I was like, oh, these are good cards. I'll play with these. I'll do fine. And then I was probably like Snapcastering Milieu 3 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was bad. It was
not good.
So as a video gamer, what do you like?
Since I'm, such a great Magic player, I like card games. I play basically every card game that I can get my hands on.
So Hearthstone?
I played a lot of Hearthstone. Not as much anymore. I haven't played that much.
What about Eternal? Did I ever get you into Eternal?
Played a lot of Eternal. Yep, absolutely.
And now you're playing a lot of Magic the Gathering Arena.
I'm playing Arena because it's so accessible. It's got some problems. I'm not a huge fan of the client, but hopefully it'll get better. It's still in beta. So as it evolves, hopefully we'll get to a place where I want. God, why don't we have a friends list in that client?
Oh, because they
that's lesson one,
right? It's a social game, right? Like, why is there not clans? Why is there not anything social, right?
Yeah, we're getting a friends list next week, I think.
That's good.
Kind of. I don't think it's a full-on friends list. But shouldn't that be like social engineering 101? Shouldn't you have done that from the very beginning?
There's no reason that should not have already been in the game.
Right.
I understand if during closed alpha, maybe they were concerned with like actual security concerns because you have got some kind of like connection maybe between people. I'm not a networking expert, but as soon as that game hit open beta, I can't believe they didn't have that ready.
Like, I know that I'm overly critical of Wizards of the Coast, but I feel this is where the entitled gamer argument comes into play a lot, and I always feel like I'm entitled when it comes to Wizards of the Coast because I've been playing the game for 25 years. I've been buying thousands of dollars worth of Magic cards every single year. I support them. I buy their side products. I buy their main products. I don't buy singles. I buy boxes. I draft online. I draft in real life. I build a cube, so that's probably one of the worst things I do. I play Commander a little bit. I've got the modern cards. I've got a legacy collection. I've been playing this game since the beginning of time, and so I always feel like I deserve to be overly critical because I'm going to buy the next project. I just put in, this is what kind of monster I am, and for those of you who don't follow Magic, I know this is kind of boring. This is the kind of monster I am. I just pre-ordered a case of Ultimate Masters.
That's a lot of money.
I'm a garbage human. It's more than my mortgage. I couldn't believe it. I went to my local gaming store, and I'm like, what kind of discount can you give me? And he goes, I have to make some profit. I'm like, I got it. And it's for those of you who don't know, the new Magic the Gathering set, which is already Magic the Gathering is a premium product, right? At $99 a box, which is what we're used to paying, right? Mm-hmm. Most people can't afford $99 a box for Magic cards. Most people can't afford $120 for a Tarmogoyf, so they need 4 of those for Modern. The Humans deck is a $1,000 deck, $1,500 deck if you want to play Modern. It's an expensive game, and so all of us players always constantly are mad about how expensive the game is. The newest set that's coming up, which is a reprint set of premium cards, $338 MSRP.
Is it at least a full-size booster box?
No, it's only 24 boosters instead of 36 boosters. And so here's what's crazy. It's a premium set. For those of you who don't know, there's been muster sets before, but this Ultimate Master set, everybody's like, the first Master set was $6.99 a booster. All right, but it had some premium reprints, so everybody's excited to pay that. Then they raised it to $10 a booster, and everybody's like, you should take it back down to $7 a booster. And they said, you know what, we will, but then we'll double it. Let's go for $14.99. $15 a booster. That is, the company could not be more out of touch. And it happened in the same week as Diablo Immortal. So Magic players that also play Diablo were having one of the worst weeks of their lives.
Yeah, I guess so.
But to bring it back, Ellis, what else, besides card games, what else do you play?
I like a lot of survival games, colony sim games, basically anything that's kind of strategic and lets me like outthink an opponent or outthink an AI, or at least pretend and feel good about the AI letting me outthink it because
Right,
I
of
know I
course, right,
couldn't
yeah, yeah.
actually do it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm an old man now, and I feel like I can't play any of the Twitchy games
Oh
anymore.
my God, an old man.
So
What are you, 24?
27.
Oh my God, you are old. That's
I
officially
know I'm
old.
ancient, right?
I won't
It's
date
weird.
anybody that old. So
It's weird going to magic shops and suddenly like being the old person there. It's weird watching esports and realizing like, oh, I can't do that anymore.
no, do you know what it's like walking into a magic shop at 45? Oh my, you know, I'm not 45 yet, but I'm close. And I walk in here and I'm like, these are actual babies playing this game. Like this kid is 19. And the worst part about it, he's playing humans. He's got like a modern humans deck. It's like $2,000. It's all foiled out. And I'm like, where are you getting this money? Aren't
He
you a
doesn't have
millennial?
bills, man.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then he complains about money. I'm like, that's because you paid $50 for that foil Cavern of Souls or whatever. I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand you kids. Here's what I will say. I get myself in a lot of trouble. Those of you who don't know me too well, you don't follow me on Twitter because Twitter is just a place where I commit some form of self-harm most days. But I will say, where I really, the disconnect is in my age, right? Like a lot of the times I was taught high school 40 years ago. I mean, I started school 40 years ago. I was in high school 30 years ago. A lot of the stuff that they teach now is very different from what we taught then. American values, the whole Christopher Columbus thing, all kinds of stuff. Stuff that I need to get educated on, things that I am learning. So I will say that most of the time the disconnect comes from I'm tremendously old. And you're starting to feel it at 28. Jacob, you're 28 as well? 27?
Yeah.
Right.
28.
So you guys are starting to feel it. But once you're 40, the world is, and at the pace the world has changed in my lifetime, it's so bizarre. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. I'm confused all the time. I say something that I was taught in high school, turns out to be wrong. I feel like an idiot. But someone once said to me a long time ago, I was sitting with my grandfather, and my grandfather set down the remote and said something horribly racist, which I won't repeat here. But he says, man, sometimes I don't even recognize the world anymore. And I thought to myself, even at that young age, I was probably 10 or 12, I thought to myself, isn't that a good thing? Right? Like if the world changes progressively for the better so much that an old man like me doesn't recognize it, doesn't understand you whippersnappers' values, that's probably a good thing, right? I should be confused by now. And if I'm not, then the world hasn't changed very much, and that kind of sucks. I'm all for change. I'm all for progression. I'm not for the kind of change we've seen in Magic the Gathering products going to $300 a box.
I don't know how they can do that because I know they're not allowed to acknowledge the secondary market. But the only reason that those cards are expensive and that they can charge so much is because of the secondary market.
Right, yeah, and that's so frustrating because they say they don't pay any attention to it, but then they rare shift something from common to rare, or uncommon to rare, or rare to mythic, or what was the worst case scenario? We had an uncommon,
rare to mythic. Right?
Yeah, we had something that went from uncommon to mythic. I think it was a land, wasn't it? Was it an ancient tomb or something like that?
Sure. They've done that with Aether Vial, I think.
Yeah, Aether Vial moved up. And then in the last core set, the last mainline set that had this happen, Palaka Worm went from uncommon to rare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's fine, right? Palaka Worm's not worth nothing.
Palaka Worm is great.
But it's just
a good card.
Or when in the rise of mobile gaming, I love the concept of mobile game. When I got my first tablet, I downloaded like a Spider-Man game, and it was like a traditional game for like $15, and I'm like, this is terrible. It looks like PS1 graphics, but it's good. I mean, it's a game. I can't wait for mobile gaming. To be able to play mobile games on a tablet, it's going to be so much fun. Never in my life did I realize they were going to monetize things the way they have monetized things. Never in my life did I expect them to, I play a couple mobile games. Do you guys play any mobile games at all? Jacob, do you play any?
Yeah.
What do you play?
Quite a few.
What do you play?
I bounce around from different games. I like little arcadey ones. I play one right now called Drop Wizard, and it's got NES graphics, and you're a little wizard and you walk around.
That's weird. What's the premise?
I'm a sucker for the gacha games.
What do you mean gotcha?
So gachapon is like the Japanese concept of the roulette wheel, or that's not the right term. It's like a claw machine, right? So gacha games are the ones where you don't get your full cast of characters. You've got to spend premium currency, and then you roll something, and then maybe you get the 5-star hero.
Oh, I do a lot of these hero arenas. I started with
Mhm.
Summoner Wars or Monster Summoner. I forget what it's
Summoner
called.
Wars is a gacha game.
You're right. So I do like the Star Wars one. I do Marvel Strike Force, and I will tell you that at the beginning when I first played like Summoner Wars or whatever that one's called, the one where you battle like monsters and you have to get
Mhm.
runes and stuff. I ended up spending like $100 on that game, thinking, you know what, I'm really into it. I'll buy one expensive package, and it didn't change anything. My monsters were that much better. It bought me like a month's worth of grinding, but that's it. But then I was still doing the same stuff over and over again. Same with the EA game that I play, the stupid Star Wars one. I forget. Do you know the name of that one? The
Galaxy of Heroes.
Galaxy of Heroes. Yeah, I play that one every day. I play Marvel Strike Force every day. I grind through it as I'm falling asleep at night. And I have not spent any money on. I did spend money on the EA one right at the beginning. I spent like $20 to get like a Darth Vader shards like right away, right? And then for the Marvel Strike Force, I've never spent a dime because these games are designed to where even if you do, it doesn't advance you. Same with one of the more famous. Name some of the most famous mobile games. I'm trying to think of the name of this one.
I mean, it's Clash of Clans, right?
It's Clash of Clans. It's the
And then
card
Clash
variant
Royale.
version of Clash of Clans.
Clash Royale.
Clash Royale. Again, if you spend money in that game, you just get paired with people who have spent money. So it's pointless to spend money in those games, which is great. But the grind is not particularly fun either. I don't know what is so addicting about those games. Why do I play them?
Filling bars, pulling that roulette wheel. It's gambling, right?
And
that's how they get you a lot of the time.
And
you're absolutely right. You don't get a lot of actual return for your money, but you get that sweet feeling of pulling the slot machine.
Oh, I now have a maxed out Darth Vader. This is great. He's got all the gear. He's got all the loot. Oh, now I'm farming his rune. Now he's got the best runes of the game. Oh my god, he's so great. Who cares? And now I'm just getting paired against the same monsters over and over again in the same arena. And so I'm the top 500 for arena. So I'm the top 100 for space battles arena. Who cares? Who cares? Like I don't get it. I don't know what my addiction is. Here's the other thing I really don't get about the way these games are designed. I don't know what the fun part is. I don't really know. I really think it is built entirely on that addictive quality. It really is.
They often are.
Anybody else will just walk away. And so that the reason I bring this topic up is because I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Diablo Immortal, which I'm going to play devil's advocate here right now.
Sure.
If you haven't watched any of the gameplay, have you watched any of the gameplay?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen some.
What they showed at the at BlizzCon, yeah.
Right. And so there was somebody who got to play it and stream it at BlizzCon. They streamed about an hour of it, and the gameplay does not look as good as well-rounded Diablo 3, certainly.
Sure.
But it does look pretty deep for one of these mobile games. And so I think I'll download it and give it a chance. But what I'm worried about is how they're going to monetize it. Because Diablo has always been ripe. And I think this has been one of the biggest disconnects for the media to understand. Diablo has always been ripe for monetization. And they tried it with Diablo 3 at the launch. For those of you who weren't around for that, they tried to put a real money auction house in there where you could buy and sell the items you picked up for real money. And then they would take a cut of the real money. Obviously, players weren't having that. But now, with the gambling aspect, what if you get a daily chest that has items in it? Might have an artifact. If you upgrade, what if they give you an opportunity to increase magic find for a day? You could do that with Diablo 4 as well, certainly, but it would be more acceptable to people who are used to playing mobile games, who are used to playing, spend $100 and get no real advancement from it. And so I think that's my biggest concern is how they're going to monetize Diablo Immortal. Now, I will tell you this, and this is not devil's advocacy. This is my honest to God words. If you sell me Diablo Immortal for $10, maybe 20, maybe even 30 if it's deep enough, and you don't monetize it outside of that, I would celebrate that game. I would play it. I would stream it. I would tell people to give it a chance because it would change the mobile market. The problem is they're not going to do that.
They're not going to.
Absolutely not.
What's the name of the company that developed this game? Is it NetEase?
NetEase.
Yes, and they are known for the exact same kind of greasy, grimy monetization practices that plague most mobile games.
Right, and that's certainly, the folks at Blizzard obviously have editorial control here, and I think if we as consumers put pressure on them, not the kind of toxic pressure we saw after that release. I don't think any of the threatening developers on Twitter, I don't think calling people names.
Unacceptable.
Obviously, we all openly condemn that kind of behavior.
Absolutely.
But that saying, making the request of, hey, monetize this fairly. Hey, monetize this in a way that's decent. If it's a playable game, if it's a decent game, and it's monetized correctly, then we're not as upset anymore. But the problem is, I think they have an understanding. Number one, I think a lot of people here in the West don't understand this. Mobile gaming has won in the East. In the Asian markets, mobile gaming is all there is. Consoles are dead. The Switch has some foothold there. But most gaming in Asian markets now is done on phones. And they spend money on microtransactions like it's water, like it's just part of gaming. And then we've seen a lot of newer gamers who've come in, younger kids or people who weren't primary gamers, games for non-gamers like Candy Crush. We've seen people spend tremendous amounts of money on those games because it's their first time ever doing it. I went to the arcades as a kid. I despised plunking quarters into the thing, but I did it. Once I could start gaming at home for one small price, that's what I preferred to do. Those guys have never experienced that, so they're just used to plunking dollar bills into their phone. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so,
whereas somebody like me who grew up in a time like the 64 was the first console that I really remember releasing in my lifetime. And back then, I mean, you got a game for $40 and that was it. You just had the game. There was no DLC. There was no microtransactions. So now, even though I understand that it's profitable and that that's the way that this market has moved, it's hard for me not to feel bad about it. It feels predatory the way that these things are designed.
And it is. And, at the end of the day, like, it's a business. I understand that it's a business, but, and I understand that they have shareholders that they have to please, and they have to bring in record profits. They have to show record growth every year. But that's one of the reasons I dive into so many independent games. To bring it back to Binding of Isaac, that's one of the reasons I love Binding of Isaac so much, because that's just a handful of guys in an apartment in a garage building those games in a small office, man. And
that game was made by somebody who loves it.
Right, it's one of the best games I've ever played, and I know when I spend money there, he's not there to try to exploit me. He's not there to try to drain my wallet. I'm not a whale to him. I'm a player to him. You know. I mean, like I said, I've talked to him now on Twitter a couple of times, so I should probably be careful what I say. But let's go with any other indie game. Name what's one of your favorite indie games from this year? Have you played anything?
Dead Cells. I loved Dead Cells.
Oh, it's incredible.
Dead Cells is so good.
It's so funny because a lot of people I've seen say, well, that game would never have gotten played were it not for the controversy. You are probably correct, because that guy did not have a marketing budget. He designed an incredible game. Now, I only played it one full time through. I stopped playing it by the time I beat the boss the second time. How many playthroughs did you do? I'm curious.
I played through, I think, 2 times.
Right.
But as a counterpoint to that game would not have been played without the controversy. I don't even know what it is. I've never even heard about it.
Oh, the controversy, really?
Yeah.
So large.
I didn't mean to bring it up.
No, it's a mild.
If it's not something you want to talk about.
No, it's a very mild controversy. Basically, somebody at, I believe it was IGN. I think that was IGN. Guys, let me know in the comment section below. But a reporter at IGN was accused of plagiarizing a YouTuber's video for the review. So it wasn't word for word, but it was very, very close. Like this overall structure.
Clearly plagiarism.
And so when people dove deeper, it looked like a lot of his other reviews might have been plagiarized as well. And so the guy got let go at IGN, and they apologized. IGN did a very, very good job of fixing things. They fired the guy. They gave him a nice stern talking to. They had the game re-reviewed, and the new review was very careful to be as different as humanly possible. Like he wouldn't even use the phrase Metroidvania. He wouldn't even use the word. It was so adorable how hard he tried, and they did a very, very good job with the new video review. But that said, that really did push that game into the forefront of YouTube for a while, and it did much better. That said, that game easily could have stood on its own.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I played it on.
Excellent.
I played it on the Switch, and the Switch version was very good. Where'd you guys play it?
I played on PC.
Yeah. How's the PC version?
Very good.
It's great. I have absolutely no complaints.
So I love throwing my money at companies like that, especially because Dead Cells was what, 25 or was it 20?
I got on sale for 15.
Right. And even though I only probably put 10 hours into it, I feel like I got my money's worth.
Sure.
I absolutely did. Yeah.
So I don't want this to be our Game of the Year episode, but do you have any contenders for Game of the Year? Is this something? Because, of course, I will make my top 10 list this year. I think it's going to have to be bigger than 10. I might go 15, I think, this year. And I think I already know what my game of the year is, though I haven't beat Red Dead Redemption 2 yet. I put like 20 hours into it. And of course, we still have like Smash Brothers to come out. What other games do we have to come out left this year?
Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee come out in, I think, a week or something like that.
And then Smash, and then Battlefield 5 has not dropped yet. We don't officially have Fallout 76 yet, or did that come out like this week?
No, it comes out next week.
Okay, right. Well, I'll be streaming that for sure.
Yeah.
Did you play the beta for 76 at all?
I did, yes.
I played a little bit. Jacob played a little more than I did.
Yeah, I think you guys had a much more positive experience than I did. My game was so buggy.
I did not.
Oh, did you not?
No.
The game was so buggy for me. It wouldn't even draw water. I had just giant holes in my map. It was insane. What was your experience like for 76? I don't want to take away from Game of the Year conversation, but what was your experience for Fallout 76?
Well, so I played 5 or 6 hours of the beta, and it was slightly buggy, but not any more so than any other Fallout game. My problem with it was the writing on some of the NPCs and the way some of the quests were worded. They were unclear, and I failed quests because I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. And I don't want any major spoilers here for anybody who's planning on playing this game, but I just didn't have a positive experience with the way the quests work, and several of the NPCs were people that I didn't want to interact with at all.
That's a shame, because when it's bugs, then they can fix that kind of stuff. That thing gets patched out. But when it's a fundamental problem with like the gameplay or the way that it's written or the way they have these quests structured, that's not going to change. That means that like you're not going to enjoy the mechanics of that game.
I've heard two comparisons that I think are accurate. The first of which, somebody said it was like Fallout 4 without the main storyline and just side quests, and that feels accurate. Like there's no like in my experiences, because all I did was like tutorial quests for the 2.5 hours I played it, and it was just like, hey, go here, go to this voting machine, go to this water cleaning machine. And then I built a camp, and that was kind of fun. I did enjoy collecting junk and building a camp. And then, like, the blueprint system is really smart, where you can, like, completely move that camp and rebuild that camp. And, in case you're getting grief, that was smart. I mean, there's some really smart ground level stuff there, but it did exactly feel like that. This is mostly undeveloped game, no main storyline, right?
Yeah.
And then the second comparison I heard, and then I repeated this one to people's chagrin, is it also reminds me of Sea of Thieves, in that it just feels underdeveloped and just not a lot to do there yet, with plenty of stuff probably on the horizon and plenty of stuff to come. And it is far deeper than Sea of Thieves, but the comparison is that it's not a finished product. And it feels like there's so much more left for them to do, and it could probably use another year in the oven, but it's not going to get it, unfortunately.
Nope.
Which is fine. A lot of the articles I've read, and of course you got to be careful with this, because I mean, Kotaku and Polygon, they're going to exaggerate from time to time, but like movement speed and action speed is tied to frame rate for this game, so the PC version of it is exploitable there, and like everything is supposed to be done client side, so it's very exploitable there. So day one, the PC version might not be very fun to play, so you might be better off getting console version, which means I won't get it at all, probably, because I don't want to play it on console. I don't want to play stick shooters, overall frustrating. So it's not going to be Fallout 76. What is the best game you've played so far this year, Jacob?
Monster Hunter World.
Oh, Monster Hunter World. Alice, how many hours you put in the Monster Hunter World?
God, 300, maybe more.
Good Lord. I made a new friend recently, and they said they spent 800 hours playing Monster Hunter World.
My mind is blown.
I'm like,
800?
And
how much of that was idle time?
That's what was my first question, and the answer was none. I'm barely idle. I'm like, okay, that's insane. Like, that you're obsessive. That's obsessive, but that's fine if you can get that kind of enjoyment out of the game. That's the reason I didn't enjoy Monster Hunter World, because I'm not ready for a grindy game. I went back to World of Warcraft this year, and I got to the point where I was starting to grind, repeating the same content over and over and again. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to repeat the same content. I wanted from Monster Hunter World, I wanted to be able to do everything exactly once and see it all and then be done. But eventually I got to a point where I needed to build my armor set, and I needed to go into a particular monster battle. So I did the same monster battle 3 times in a row, trying to get what I needed. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to play the same thing over and
absolutely.
over. Right.
Sure. That's what the gameplay loop is in that game.
Right. Yep. Which is fine. I mean, if you're addicted to that kind of thing, or Destiny, or whatever type of, or World of Warcraft, or whatever kind of grindy game. Hey, I'm still playing Galaxy of Heroes and Marvel Strike Force, so who am I to judge? Jacob, what's the best game you played this year?
Well, not to cop Ellis' style, but it was Monster Hunter World.
So
I also put about 300 hours into it.
what is it you liked about Monster Hunter World to put 300 hours into? You guys are busy guys. You guys are busier than me. So
I love going from getting my ass kicked by a monster to then kicking that monster's ass and then wearing its skin so that I can go and fight it again to get even better at killing it. The feeling I get.
I'm going to wear you and then I'm going to go kill your friends.
Yeah. Hey, you remember me? I'm wearing your baby's skin. What are you talking about? Yeah, psychotic.
No, but that sense of achievement of like that game kicks your ass the first 3 times you fight a monster. And then when you beat it, it's why people love the Souls games, right?
Right, of course. Yeah.
Everything feels so powerful and visceral when there's that real challenge to it. And it's so rewarding to beat it. Exactly, Jacob.
Yeah, that's what World of Warcraft used to be. And with the vanilla server, did you guys play much World of Warcraft?
I did.
I did a while ago, yeah.
Yeah, so I played a little bit in alpha beta, and then I skipped most of vanilla because I didn't want to grind that much. Came back for the one that took place on the red planet. What's that one?
Burning Crusade.
Burning Crusade. Came back towards the end of Burning Crusade, just around the time they dropped heroics and started like grinding away there. Did a couple of raids there. Then Wrath of the Lich King was easily, I'm going to say it, and I know it's going to be controversial, the best expansion. Just
nope, it was BC, but Wrath was second best.
No, Wrath was so, because I didn't play as much of Burning Crusade, so maybe I am wrong. But Wrath of the Lich King.
I'm with you, Boogie. I liked Wrath way better.
I loved Wrath. Wrath was great. There was no Burning Crusade.
What was exciting to me about Wrath wasn't just the world design, the game design, the fact that you could fly there, the fact that you could do whatever the hell you wanted, you know, the fact that the quests were amazing, the storyline was amazing. That was it. It was the storyline. The only story worth telling in all of Warcraft history, to me, has been Arthas's story. And that's why I own Frostmourne. Well, that was a gift from a friend, but still, that's why it's one of my favorite stories in video game ever. Watching him lose his shit in Warcraft 3 and then finally finish him off at by the way, spoiler alert. If you haven't played Warcraft 3 yet,
the Lich King.
or you didn't play that World of Warcraft expansion a decade ago. Arthas is a bad guy. Anyway, yeah, it's one of the best stories. Yeah, it's one of the best stories. And to actually finally kill him, here's the day I quit World of Warcraft. We went into Wrath of the Lich King. We went into fight Arthas, and we failed. And then we came back, and we tried to fight him again, and we failed. And then we came back a third time, and we beat him. And then I logged out, and I was done, because that's all I needed. And then I logged back in for Mist of Pandaria, and I was like, this is bad. This is bad. And then what was the expansion after that? Like
this got a lot of flack. Mechanically, it was pretty okay. Flavor-wise, I understand why people didn't like it.
Well, I always liked the Pandarans, but it didn't feel like World of Warcraft is the thing. I always liked the Pandarans as a joke character and not as world-building exercise, you know? Developing them as deeply as they did was not a good decision. Well, and then what was the next one? It was Devastation
Warlords, right? Warlords of Draenor?
No, that was after, right? Because
it was Cataclysm,
then
Mist
Warlords.
of Pandaria, then Warlords of Draenor.
Okay, right. Cataclysm. Oh, I hated Cataclysm. I didn't want to play it.
Nobody liked it.
Most people like that's when I quit, was during Cataclysm. Right, and I didn't come back till the tail end of Mists.
Then I logged back into for this new expansion, Battle for Azeroth. I logged back into that expansion, and then I find out there's a giant sword in the world killing it, and it's bleeding Azerite, and it went full anime style, and the gods are all like anime characters now, and I'm like, what happened? What happened to World of Warcraft? Whatever happened to just a paladin losing his mind and putting on a hat? Like that was right. And now you're stabbing the earth with a
TLDR,
gun?
the Arthas arc.
Yeah.
Paladin lost his mind and put on a hat.
Yeah, I mean, what are we doing? I don't know, man. It's a completely different game. And so I went back
after Legion for similar reasons.
So basically, Battle of Azeroth is not going to be my game of the year list. I'm sorry. So what games did you miss this year? What games did you not play that you think is probably going to be on people's game of the year list? What about you, Jacob?
I missed a lot of games because I only do PC gaming.
Oh, that's
so I didn't get to play Spider-Man or God of War or Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh my god!
And I feel like those three are going to be on a lot of people's list. Red Dead Redemption 2 maybe a little less, but people are still way into it.
Yeah, spoiler alert, God of War is right up at the top.
I believe it. I watched you play it, and it looked like a blast.
I have an interesting story to tell about God of War. So, you guys know I got divorced last year, and it was kind of rough. And I was like kind of messed up for a while. Yeah, you might have been aware when I cried on your shoulders every Friday and Saturday night for 3 straight months. Yeah. But when God of War came out, I played enough to get an impression. I played enough to get an idea. Like 8 hours in. But I didn't enjoy any of it. I was like, this game's not good. But I wasn't playing much of anything other than like stupid Facebook style mobile games and like miserable stuff, right? I was just like hanging out with you guys. We were playing like D&D. I was like trying to get out of the house every day. I was trying to move more. I was trying to make content. And I was just kind of just like Far Cry. I kind of enjoyed Far Cry, but I couldn't really get into that either. I beat it, and it was okay. And so after traveling all throughout the summer and meeting a bunch of fans and hanging out and getting better, at some point, I think it was August, I sat down and I played the rest of God of War, and I enjoyed every second of it. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm healed. Like this, I'm better.
God of War
like
healed you.
Yeah, God of War. Like Corey, if you're out there, if you're listening to this, and I know he watches the channel, he might. Holy crap, did that changed everything. And so I was right back into gaming, and I made up for my back catalog, and I played through everything that I missed, and I was so excited for this gaming season. And this gaming season has been incredible. Spider-Man, I streamed the entirety of that game. It's very rare the audience will watch me stream through an entire game on Twitch. They loved every second of that game. I can't wait for the DLC. It was one of the best games of the year. So yeah, you missed some good stuff. Red Dead Redemption is very good, but
I'm okay with using it. It sounds like it has some things about it that do not appeal to me in a video game.
It is a Rockstar game, right? And I feel like if you've ever played Grand Theft Auto, if you've ever played Bully, if you've ever played pretty much any Rockstar game other than like Lemmings, you know what to expect. You're going to get into a car, or in this case, ride a horse. You're going to ride for 5 minutes to a location. You're going to hear some really interesting character dialogue. You're going to learn to like your protagonist. You're going to learn to like your accessory characters and your friends and the people he's interacting with. You're going to learn a little bit about the bad guys, and you're going to learn to hate them. Then you're going to shoot a bunch of the bad guys. You're going to rob a bunch of stuff. Then you're going to get back on a horse, and you're going to ride back to your town, and you're going to hear more character dialogue developing on what you just saw. And then you're going to meet some crazy characters. You're going to meet some interesting stuff. You're going to do some deplorable stuff. You're going to blow up innocent people, and you're going to shoot stuff. You're going to wreck cars. You're going to rob stuff. You're going to blow up trains. You're going to kill and murder and pillage and do all kinds of miserable stuff. And then you're going to learn to like the character who's doing that, because you're going to understand why he's doing it and why he's the person that he is. And then they're going to, spoiler alert, they're going to make you dislike that character by the end of the game on some level. Because otherwise they don't want you liking the bad guy. They don't want you liking the Walter White or the Rick Sanchez, and then you're going to feel conflicted. And then at the end of the game, you're going to walk away. And so it's very much that game. If you don't like riding horses and listening to character dialogue, you're not going to like this game. And if you don't like shooting galleries, you're definitely not going to like this game.
How much is it like full-on walking simulator? Is it that bad? Or is it...
So I've heard a lot of people compare it to a walking simulator. When I think walking simulator, I think there's nothing else to do. Even when I'm just riding that horse, I have to maintain that horse's attitude. There's an opportunity there to bond closer with that horse. There's a chance to feed that horse. That horse is getting dirty. I'm getting covered in blood. There's still game mechanics every step of the way, even when you're just riding to and back from the place. Same with Grand Theft Auto. When you're driving in those games, you're still driving even if you're driving to a place and back. Then you get to the place, and then there's a bunch of stuff to do. Maybe you're sneaking into a house and murdering somebody in their sleep. Maybe you're climbing a bell tower and you're sniping people. Maybe you're winging it. Maybe you're setting a fire to a thing, and then you're going to burn down the place and shoot people as they come out of the burning fire, or maybe you're going to rob a train, or there's plenty of game mechanics, but it's also an interactive movie. And so I think, and it's certainly not, say, Detroit Become Human or any of those other style of interactive movies. It's not that, but there's still plenty of interactive movie in there. I think it's closer to Breath of the Wild than it is to a walking simulator. Because you're still cooking, and you're still eating, and there's still food, and there's still crafts, and there's still whatever. So I think comparing it to a walking simulator is probably not correct, but there's still...
Might be a little reductive.
Yeah, there's still plenty of cutscenes and plenty of movies. It's not as bad as a Metal Gear Solid game or the upcoming Kingdom Hearts game. Did I tell you you were with me at E3, Jacob, right?
No,
Or
I
Ellis, right?
Ellis was.
I played the Kingdom Hearts demo, and they gave me 1 hour to play the Kingdom Hearts demo, and I said, an hour? That's normally like 30 minutes for a demo. And he goes, yeah, there's a 25-minute cutscene.
What?
I went,
25 minutes?
I'm like, what?
In the demo you brought to E3?
In the demo? And I'm like, is that in the main game? And like, oh, yeah, it's in the main game. There's a lot of cutscenes in the main game. And I'm like, 20, maybe it was 20 minutes, but it was like a 25-minute cutscene.
Still
Start the
lot.
demo after the cutscene.
No, because that was the thing. That's why I played the Kingdom Hearts games is the cutscenes. They're good. They are
I
good.
want to watch a movie.
I want to watch this movie, man. You know? I like being able to set down my controller and eat and make an entire sandwich and then go poop it out during a cutscene. That's fine by me, you know? So it's just one of those games where the story line. Did you see Donkey's review? Hi, Donkey. I don't know. He's not going to watch this. But
I did. I did.
And so I think his review was pretty accurate. It really does start off really strong. And I'm only 10, 12 hours in. And so it's still very, very strong for me. I love the characters. I love the side quests. I love the development. I love Rockstar creates some characters you won't see anywhere else. Just
That's true.
Nobody's
And
got
I
the
can really
balls.
appreciate that.
Who's got the balls to put the clan in your video game? Only Rockstar. Only Rockstar will make a suffragist killable in their game, and they're going to do it. That's what they do. I said something on Twitter this week that got me in a lot of trouble, and I'm curious what you guys think about this opinion. Rockstar is quoted as saying that we like to... controversy sells games, right? And so I personally think they know what they're doing when they put like controversial characters in their games like that. I think obviously, you know, you go back to the torture scene in Grand Theft Auto 5. Did you guys play GTA 5?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's one of the only torture scenes in a video game that ever made me feel uncomfortable. Like straight up completely like set down the controller trying to figure out how to skip this torture scene, kind of uncomfortable.
There's one in The Witcher 3 that got me pretty good.
Oh, which one? Minor spoilers for The Witcher 3 here. You should have played it by now. But
So it got me so good because basically you're breaking into a prison or something like that, and you have your friend Triss with you, and she's kind of acting as a decoy, and it's not even on screen. You can just hear them torturing her in the other room.
Right.
And the longer you as a player can deal with that, the better the, I don't know, quest goes for you, the less guys you have to fight, that's what you're supposed to do. And there's not any gameplay reason why you can't just continue to let them torture her while you keep pumping that guy for information, which is what you're there for. But man, after that second shriek, I couldn't handle it anymore, and I just had to pull my sword out and kill everybody.
Yep, and I think I love games.
Keeping
like
that hidden from me visually was so brilliant.
Yep. I know a lot of people like to condemn stuff like that in video games, but I think that's what makes gaming so great. I feel like you can easily do that in a movie. We've done it in hundreds of movies just this year, you know. I think you can easily do that in a book, and you can easily do that even in a television show. So I don't see a reason that we can't do that in video games as long as we're rating it fairly. I celebrate that kind of stuff. And I think we're talking about two of the most edgy companies on the planet. We're talking about the folks over at CD Projekt Red, who, again, I have some friends on that team, so I should be careful when I talk about that to always remind you guys that, you know, I got to see the Cyberpunk demo, and I got a statue back there, and they sent me collector's edition version of the game, but they love to push the edge. And so when we sat through the Cyberpunk demo, which you can now watch the same gameplay we saw on YouTube, but they were like, so we want to let you know that we have made the decision to make this a very adult-rated game, that there's going to be a lot of sexual content, that there's going to be a lot of violence, and we're not going to back off. And I think that's cool. As long as you're putting that on the box, as long as people know, I think that's great. And when you buy a Rockstar game, you need to know what you're getting into, right? We all know what we're getting into, except gameplay. And I think it is a fair criticism that a lot of people are going to give Red Dead Redemption 2 its game of the year. I might still.
How much of that do you think is just recency bias?
Oh, that's always going to be part of it too, right? We always forget about the games that come out at the beginning of the year. What did come out at the beginning of this year? Monster Hunter World, Far Cry 5, God of War. See, that's the thing. I think God of War is going to be the game of the year for a lot of people, and that came out right at the beginning of the year. What a weird time to release that game. I'm so surprised. But again, if you look at the stacked lineup for February of this next year, my God, there's so many games that got delayed to February of 2019. We now have a second Broketober. We now have a second month in which we have to buy 12 video games as YouTubers. and review every single one of them, which is going to be great, because normally January and February is a really boring month for gaming channels, but it's not going to be this time because we're going to have plenty of stuff to play and plenty of stuff to do.
Everybody was trying to avoid the shadow of Red Dead Redemption and Call of Duty.
Right. And that's why I'm so eager. And I hope you listeners out there buy plenty of games in February this year, because if we can split up that workload, we get to buy a lot of games. We get to hang out. Of course, it does stink as a budget gamer. As you guys know, I do well for myself now, but I still think like a budget gamer all the time. Mm-hmm. So I still know, and I'm always trying to keep budget gamers in mind, because you guys are still budget gamers, right? Like, you guys are doing well for yourselves too, but at the same time, you watch what you spend. We all do. Mm-hmm. And so I know it's going to suck that a bunch of games come out in February, but a lot of people used to just wait till February to buy the game that came out in October when it's at half price, right? But now there's going to be a brand new hot game. Bethesda, listen to me. Delay Fallout to February. Please finish that game. Please do that for us. Please.
They're not gonna.
It'd be nice, but it's too late. Right?
No, they're not gonna.
Maybe if more people had gotten to test it before now, maybe if rather than doing a full release now, they were like, okay, now it's an open beta, and then it will get released, then maybe that would be something that they could work with. But it's probably too late. It is
inherently a flawed concept. Bethesda has always been a company that says, we release buggy games, and that's okay. And it's always fine, because Skyrim and Fallout, that's fine that they're buggy. That's fine. And we can fix it. We can mod it, right? To some extent, and it's never been game-breaking,
It has been game-breaking.
It has been game-breaking.
That's true. I'll give you
I could not finish Fallout 4 because of game-breaking bugs.
But you can't do that with a multiplayer game.
No.
Especially one with cosmetic microtransactions. Especially a 60-hour title.
Mm-hmm. Apparently they can.
Apparently they can.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Well, if you look at the YouTube reviews and if you look at the beta impressions, I think a lot of people are pretty mad at that game. I'm still going to play it. I'm going to give it a fair chance, because that's what I do. I'm a reviewer. I review games. Absolutely. I'm going to dive into it, and I'm going to see how bad it is, and I'm going to criticize the hell out of it. Somebody said...
As you should.
Somebody said something really interesting, and it was a journalist, nonetheless, said something to me on Twitter the other day, but I was complaining about Diablo Immortal and my concerns about monetization. He says, if you don't like it, don't play it and shut up. And I was sassy. I got sassy on Twitter because it's 2018. So I quote retweeted it, and I'm like, hey, I'm a gaming commentator, so you shouldn't be surprised when I supply comments about a game, buddy. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. Absolutely. That's mean boogie. That's as mean as I get on Twitter for the most part. But that and the block button. But it's so surprising. Like, people don't want you to criticize that game. People don't want you to criticize anything. And I don't understand that. It's bizarre, because you're criticizing me for criticizing it. So that's bizarre. You don't like criticism, so then don't criticize. But I don't know. I don't understand.
I think you should make an informed decision. You should have an actual opinion that you've come up with based on what you've seen, because a lot of the times when things like this will happen, both negatively with Diablo Immortal, people will jump on the bandwagon and look, oh yeah, it's going to be the worst game ever. I can't believe it. Blizzard's dead to me. And that might be the case, but those people are only saying that because that's the prevailing mood on Reddit. Right. Or the other way back with BioShock Infinite. Everybody jumped on that game's, I'm not going to say that. Everybody really liked that game so much. It was terrible.
I loved Infinite. It was one of my favorite games.
Really?
Yeah, I really loved it.
I couldn't stand it. I was so disappointed. That's the first time I remember getting totally sucked into overhype.
But I do think
no
I do think the Spider-Man discussion that had happened this year. So we've been bullshotted before. If you guys don't know what the phrase bullshotting means, it's when people take screenshots of a game or show video of a game in its early stages, its pre-release stages, that are better than the release version, and then the release version doesn't look as good. And we've seen that so many times. So people are very concerned about that. And so all it takes is one cry of bullshotting, and people are going to lose their minds, right? And so we saw that with Spider-Man.
Gotta have those puddles,
right? And of course I made fun of that with like Francis. I think I did a video siding with them, Puddlegate, and then dismantling Puddlegate because it's funny to me. But that said, the game actually got improved. Like if you look at the textures on the suit, they're better. They don't look as plasticky. There are plenty of puddles. There just weren't puddles in that one room, and the reason there were puddles in that room is the developer said it didn't make sense because the reflection those puddles was providing wasn't an accurate reflection. We didn't want to get rid of the immersiveness. It wasn't a graphical downgrade. It was an artistic choice and all this other stuff. But it didn't matter. People grabbed the grab it. Oh, it's the game has been downgraded. It looks worse than it's ever been. It's the worst game ever. This is bullshitting. People are easy to. Misinformation is super easy to spread in 2018, and it's just going to get worse as more people get connected, and that's okay. That's okay because I always encourage my viewers, and I think this is something I get praised for and accused of a lot, but I always encourage my viewers. Anything you've listened to here today in this podcast, don't take it as written. Do your own research. Watch somebody play a game before you make an opinion about a game. Watch some gameplay, not just official gameplay, but find a YouTuber, find a Twitch streamer.
Find a voice you trust.
Right. If you do pre-order a game, before you go pick up your pre-order, because it's refundable, watch somebody else play the game, right? Make sure you understand. Make sure you get it. And find, even if it's somebody you trust. If you trust me, I know a lot of people trust me. I make mistakes. I've made 2 or 3 things that I've had to take back, reported as news in my gaming news series this year. That are 2 or 3 things that I've had to correct or even walk back entirely because they weren't entirely accurate. Because I do as much research as I can, but sometimes it's not possible to get it 100% right. Yeah. So you should always, critical thinking is so important, especially now where we're being provided so many different opposing point of views, right? And so I don't know, we should do that with gaming. And I think it's fair. I think it's fair to be upset about Diablo coming to mobile. And I think it's fair when I reported this in my gaming news segment last week that the developers at Blizzard have said, we've moved some of our best developers onto mobile exclusive games, so we plan to bring most of our IPs to mobile. I would play a Warcraft tower defense game on mobile, by the way, just because that would be fun. But that said, I think it's okay to not like the direction mobile games have taken. I think it's okay to voice your opinion about that. I think it's okay to voice your opinion but you should still, if Diablo turns out to be a fairly monetized game and it turns out to be a good game, I think that's okay. I think it's okay, and you should still give it a fair chance, I think. But people love to meme, right? People like to groupthink and crowd
and it's easier to criticize than it is to be excited.
Right. And I think that's okay. So besides the hype machine for BioShock Infinite, what about you, Jacob? You ever felt like you went along with the crowd and then the crowd was wrong? Anytime you got too hyped or underhyped or...
Oh, yeah. I totally got burned by Sea of Thieves. I saw it coming out. It was a rare game. It looked like a blast. I wanted to be a pirate. I bought into the hype, and I day one spent $60. I bought the game and I played it for 10-ish, 15 hours, and then I was out of things to do and I got bored and I stopped playing it. I'm not going to say that I didn't have fun doing the things that were there. There just weren't enough things there to do.
Right. I saw a lot of No Man's Sky's comparisons there, but I think it was a very different experience. But I will make one comparison to No Man's Sky. That team continues to work on that game. They're still patching and they're still adding content.
They're still adding stuff.
I'm hoping at the end of year 1, maybe there'll be like a nice big patch, and I'll go back and look at it and say, "Wow, this is a completely different game."
They've added so much stuff to it, but and they've added quite a bit of things, but not a lot. Certainly not as much as No Man's Sky.
Oh no,
Hello Games has
No Man's Sky is a very good game now. I mean, like, it's not great. It's not great. But it's good. Probably close to very good. I was very surprised. It's still not my kind of game. When the new latest patch hit and everybody went back to the game and it got all the free press for fixing the game and stuff, I went back to it. I'm like, well, I see where this is really fun for some people.
Yeah,
this is not fun for me. It's really grindy.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah, I could never get into a lot of those games like Rust, and that's probably why I'm so down on Fallout 76. Fallout 76 to me is not a not buy. If you guys don't know this, by the way, I guess for a lot of first-time listeners, I don't really rate games like on a 1 to 10 or scale or anything like that. I say buy day one. I say buy eventually. I say wait to buy until something provokes you, and then there's don't buy. And 76 is not a don't buy to me. It's a wait and see. It's a wait for a discount, wait for patches, wait for it to get polished, wait and see what people have to say about it. But it's not a don't buy status. And if you decide you want to play the game on day one, I'm not going to judge you. Just be prepared for a buggy experience.
Do you think that the rise or the acceptance of early access has led to games getting sort of pushed out before they're ready?
They don't call them early access anymore, and that's frustrating.
No, they don't.
I was against early access from the very beginning because I bought some games that never got finished. War of the Overworld, A War for the Overworld, the next car game. I bought some games that never got finished. But more importantly, I think most of us will get tired of a game within 20 or 30 hours. So we play the early access version of the game, and it's not very good, and then we hate the game, and we never play the finished version. Get the finished version instead if you're one of those players. I've always encouraged that. That said, now we're seeing main game, like AAA companies do that with AAA titles like Fallout 76. I think that's very disturbing. I think it's a very frustrating thing.
Sea of Thieves felt like an early access beta test.
Right. But consumers...
There wasn't enough there.
Right. Consumers will continue to buy. And what's one of the most weird things? So I don't know if you guys heard this, but Call of Duty Black Ops 4, did either of you play that?
Yeah.
Not my kind of game.
Surprisingly good. Not my kind of game either. And I was really upset that they removed single player because that's the only thing I ever enjoyed about Call of Duty games. But... I really enjoyed Blackout mode. I played it during the beta, and I played a little bit, probably 5 hours, if that. But played a bit of the beta and played a little bit of the release version, and was very surprised. But then they added their microtransactions. The microtransactions are insane, and so they made some ridiculous amount of money in the first week or first month. I forget. You can Google the articles right now. I'm going to give a number. This is not an accurate number. It's like $500 million in the first 2 weeks or something like that. And they are saying it still wasn't enough because then they added microtransactions right after. And so Activision, which owns Blizzard, by the way, which is one of the reasons we're so worried about Diablo Immortal, for those of you who don't make that connection.
Yep.
Well, it seems like they're insatiable. It seems like there is no amount of money that they can earn that will make them say, all right, that was enough.
There isn't. They're a company. They're specifically designed to make money, and they do that by exploiting a consumer.
So why...
Part of it is not just them being greedy, and I mean, I guess it all boils down to greed eventually. But Activision has so many IPs under its purview that the way that a company like that functions is these 10 over here failed because they weren't very good or they didn't have anything behind them. So Blizzard has to pick up that slack. So we're just going to release this shovelware. Because Blizzard money always comes through. And now, I'm not saying that's the case here, but that's a big driving force for how this kind of stuff happens when you have these massive companies making these games.
And that's what makes me scratch my head is that Bethesda is a massive company. So why don't they want to put all of the spit and polish on Fallout 76 as humanly possible? Why stick to this date? Maybe it has something to do with the release schedule for next year. Maybe it's because Fallout 4 is only 2 years away, or Fallout 5 is 2 years away, or something like that. Maybe Elder Scrolls is closer. They don't want to compete with it. Maybe, I don't know, but it's so weird that you've got companies on one hand that want to put out the best version of a game that they can and maximize hundreds of millions of dollars in profit. And then Fallout 76, which seems like it's getting rushed out the door and certainly will not be as successful because of that. And it feels like it's being released in early access. How do they justify that? How do they decide to do that? And I think you're right to some extent. I think I'll just shovel it out. It doesn't matter. We got some core games coming. It'll be fine.
Especially when it's a franchise game and they know it will sell.
Right. So
they know that people will buy that name.
Right. It's so weird that Diablo, which is such a historied franchise, a game I've been playing for 15 years, 16 years, something like that. It's so weird that they would say, I don't know, shovelware one. Let's just shove it out there. Let's just put the name on it. And sure, it'll damage the brand irrevocably. But hey, we'll make some money. And that seems like an Activision decision more than it seems like a Blizzard decision.
Sure. But
probably
the people that, we grew up with on Blizzard games aren't there anymore.
Which is a real shame,
It is. But I understand that, those guys are done. They made games for 20 years and now they're out of games. It's time for a changing of the guard, but this changing of the guard has not been a positive experience from a player's standpoint.
I will say, and this is probably one of my favorite things to come out of the entire Diablo controversy. There's a game called Path of Exile, and it was developed by ex-Blizzard developers who worked on the Diablo franchise, and they went on to make the Diablo game of their dreams, and oh my god, is it good, with the gem system and leveling up your gems, and the skill tree looks like the Final Fantasy X skill tree, and it's insanely huge, and you have like 80 levels, and like you can rebuild your character so many different ways to do so much different stuff, and everybody can use everything, and the storyline is okay, but then there's like the new delve system where, each season you're trying to hit the lowest level of delving you can. It's wow, it's such a good game, free to play. And the microtransactions are all cosmetic. So I don't know why you wouldn't download that game right now if you're interested in a new Diablo style game. Because Diablo 4 is coming. We know it's coming. And it's probably going to be very good. And I can't wait. But if the team is only starting working on it now, they're not ready to show footage of it now. And they weren't at E3. Sorry, BlizzCon. Then it's probably 2, maybe 3 years out. You can play a lot of Path of Exile the next 2 or 3 years. So start.
While we're talking about Diablo, can I?
You're playing the Switch version, right? Yeah.
The Switch version of Diablo is a very good version of that game. I'm not going to say it like adds anything grand or new other than it took the Diablo 3 that I love to play, and now I can lay in bed and play it. And then when I have to go to the bathroom, I can get up and sit on the toilet and play it, and then go back to my bed and continue playing.
Nice. Is it fully functioning? Is it like like the seasonal characters and all the stuff that's available?
It has all of the stuff that the other console versions have. The only main difference between the PC version and the console version that I am aware of is they added a dodge roll button. You can flick the right stick in a direction to dodge roll. That way it kind of makes up for your little bit of lack of control.
Sure, that makes sense.
You hold the left joystick to like point your guy in a direction and it kind of auto targets your abilities, but now you can dodge roll.
I appreciate that. That's a pretty big deal. Yeah, I have a question. How does that game jive with, because I mean, it is mobile, you're on your Switch. If you are the guy in the Switch commercials who likes to play his video games on the train to work, you don't have an internet connection. How does a game like Diablo, which, as far as I know, needs a constant internet connection, work if you try and play it offline?
It doesn't. I mean, it completely works. It doesn't require the internet. At any point in time, I can disconnect from the Blizzard servers, and it tells you, it's like, hey, you're disconnected from the Blizzard servers. You can't see leaderboards, can't see anything like that. But the game still functions as normal.
But I haven't played Diablo 3 in a while, but I think Diablo 3 did have an offline version as well. Right, I think but I thought it was
initially it did not.
It did
initially,
not.
And that was a big complaint for a lot of people.
Right. Yes. Yep, that's true. I do remember that. Oh man, how long?
But
as 7 years since that game came out, or 5 years?
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, so it's changed a lot since then for sure. So the console version is pretty good, right? I've never played a console version. So the console version's
quite good, and I'm a big fan of the Switch version because I can lay in bed and
you can also play as Ganon as a barbarian, like a Ganon skin.
There is Ganon skin. There is amiibo functionality if you're into that.
Oh my god! Well, seriously, what's it do?
Like I am.
What does it do?
I don't know what the armor does. I don't have the armor. I haven't done it yet. There's also a loot goblin amiibo that you can tap to just make a loot goblin appear.
Oh my god! That's so bad.
Yes, please. So you have all the amiibos, right, Jacob, or most of the amiibos?
I have most of the Smash amiibos, and then
Smash amiibos, okay.
And then the Splatoon amiibos.
I have them all. The only ones I don't have are Monster Hunter Stories ones. I'm gonna bring up this little loot goblin. I did not know this existed until you said that.
It is a GameStop exclusive, but it's very adorable and cute, and also it makes a loot goblin appear.
So that's very good.
That's good functionality.
When you can you just use it like once a day? Is there functionality for all other amiibos as well?
I have not checked. I think that it probably is just the Loot Goblin amiibo and then the Ganon amiibo. Wow, I think that's how you get the armor. I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Okay, all right. I've almost got my screenshot. I'm gonna bring it up here. He's so cute. I want him so bad. Oh god. Okay, they stopped making very many amiibos recently, so I kind of feel like.
I mean, they were mostly cranking them out for Smash. Right. Now, we're about to get a lot more waves with the new Smash coming out because they're going to make a figure for all of the Smash characters that don't already have a figure.
All 6,000 of them?
Their little Loot Goblin is now hanging out. He's now, this stream is now apparently sponsored by that Loot Goblin. Visit the Loot Goblin realm and pick up your loot today, I guess.
But basically, if you like Diablo 3 and you're looking for another way to play it very comfortably, the Switch version is fantastic. I have not had a single frame drop that I have noticed, and I'm playing a Necromancer with maximum summons on, and I go and fight a bunch of bosses that make a bunch of ads, and I've not lost a frame.
Yeah,
that's
really impressive.
Yeah, when you were over last night, I remember you were trying to get it to lag, so that's pretty impressive.
I will say it murders your battery.
Oh, yeah. So is that what you're playing right now? You're playing mostly Diablo 3. Playing anything else, Jacob?
A little bit of Destiny 2, and I'm a little
ashamed.
Really?
You sound ashamed.
You should be. You said so many nasty, dirty things about that.
Hey, it's free to play right now. It's free to download. So,
Well, and I already
It was not free for Jacob.
I already bought the most recent expansion when it came out, and then they made it very, very much more affordable.
Oh, wow, yeah. So how is Destiny? How has it changed much since launch?
Yeah, it's changed a bit. I've been dipping in and out, so it's hard for me to see a complete through line of every change that they've made. It's changed quite a bit from what I understand, but it continues to be just a very good shooting experience.
Right.
All of the guns just feel very good to shoot. And when you shoot a guy, it reacts and it feels good.
When I played when I played Destiny, I felt like there wasn't enough weird guns. I wanted weird guns. Did they ever start adding weird guns?
No, not
That's
really.
such a shame.
There are a few that will like drastically change how they fire and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's pretty much like shotguns, rocket launchers, rifles.
I wanted to be like Borderlands, style. I wanted to like shoot a gun that shoots smaller guns. I wanted weird shit.
If you want weird guns, you should check out Warframe.
I've heard good word things about Warframe.
I want to say hundreds of different guns. That's probably an exaggeration, but they definitely have some absolutely bizarre guns in that game.
And that was monetized too. It's free to play, monetized, but I've heard it's mostly cosmetic.
Mostly cosmetic. It is one of the more fair microtransaction games that I've ever seen.
Right.
Particularly since every day you get to like open a box, and that box does not necessarily contain loot. Often it will contain a discount on like premium currency.
All right, I do want to retract something.
Like 75% off your next purchase. So that means that you can get $100 worth of platinum for $25.
That's I like that.
I
should go back to say Path to Exile also sells loot tabs. I forgot to mention that earlier.
They do. Yes.
Please forgive me. I'm sure there's comments already in the comment section below that I screwed that up, but you were right. Yeah. I did screw that up. So what are you playing right now, Jacob? Or Ellis? Jeez, I'm gonna do that forever. I'm so bad with names.
Okay.
Ellis, what are you playing right now?
My name to Jacob. We'll just both.
Okay, just bug it. Jacob number Jacob 2. Jacob. One of you Jacobs. Ellis.
I want to be Jacob Prime.
Fuck.
I think it's possible. I think it's very possible.
No.
Yep. All right. You've been usurped as the primary Jacob. Jacob Prime. What are you playing right now?
So, like you said, I'm playing a lot of Magic the Gathering Arena. That's been taking up most of my time. A few mobile games here and there. I just started Epic 7, which is just exactly another monotransaction filled gotcha game like I've played a million times. Mm-hmm. I've been looking for some kind of colony sim or indie game to like catch my interest recently. I don't know if you've played any Oxygen Not Included by Clay Studios.
No, I've heard of it. Haven't played it. Any good?
I really like it. It's probably not your kind of game. I don't think it's your sort of gameplay loop. But if you enjoy engineering or like fiddling around with a bunch of systems, it's a blast. And Clay does excellent art on all of their games, which is why I usually end up buying all of them. They're the folks behind Darkest Dungeon.
Oh yeah, very good game.
Yeah,
I'll have to look at it. Sim 6, by the way, coming to the Switch. Is that weird? That's kind of weird. Would you play this, or Civ 6? Would you play Civilization on a Switch?
I've never actually played a Civilization game. I've played some Stellaris, which is a space Civ, basically.
Right.
That game does so much that I can't really imagine needing another version of it.
You know the only reason I didn't buy Diablo on the day it came out on the Switch? The only reason? Because Smash is coming out, and then Pokemon is coming out. So when I have my Switch in my hand, I'm not going to be playing Diablo, man. I'm going to be playing Pokemon. Which, can we talk about a little bit about the Pokemon games? We were talking about this in the house last night. So a lot of people are writing off this Pokemon game, and I think, to some extent, rightfully so, because it is not a core game.
I think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
That said, we saw it at E3, and my impression of E3, the E3 demo, I didn't play it, but we saw it. Mm-hmm. I looked at somebody playing, and I was like, wow, man, that does not look like a Pokemon game. I'm done. Mm-hmm. It is fair. If you're waiting for a core entry game, I think it's fair to wait. That said, I've started playing Pokemon Go again recently. Last community day was yesterday. I got a shiny Typhlosion who's like a high IV, like 67% IV. He's incredible. I'm so excited. Pokemon Go is still really fun. You guys should check that game out again if you're listening. And the community day is really cool. That said, this incorporates some of the stuff from Pokemon Go, like the berries, like the leveling system. But like somebody's complaining, a YouTube video is complaining about the leveling system, that your Pokemon level up even if they didn't fight. That's been true for the last 3 generations. Have you never heard of XP share? Like, of course, I'm used to that, right? I've got a level 45 In Ultra Sun and Moon, I've got a level 45 Snorlax who I've never brought to battle. He's in the back row sleeping and leveling up. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Oh, I don't like feeding berries to Pokemon. I'm feeding Pokebeans in Ultra Sun and Moon to my Pokemon. Man, are you playing core games if you don't like these mechanics? I don't want to brush my Pokemon. Well, then you've not been playing a core game, because it's very important to brush and clean your Pokemon to make them like you. And
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to tell these people. But that said, I get that the catch system isn't as fun. Walking up to a legendary and just throwing balls at it's going to be kind of dumb. I get that. That. The trainer battles are just the same. They look identical. They look identical as far as I can tell. That might not be accurate, but they look identical. And
trainer battles are more fun than wild battles, and that's all this game is.
Yeah, and it retells the story of Red versus Blue. So a lot of us who skipped that because, we weren't born yet or we were broke at the time, like me, it's a chance to see the Red and Blue storyline. What's the original region called? I forget. Kanto, right. It's the Kanto storyline. And so you get to hang out with Professor Oak, and you get to get Kabutops or the Helix Fossil or whatever. Yeah, you get to do all that cool shit. Aerodactyl's in that game too, right, if I remember?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he's like, how do you get Aerodactyl? I don't remember. I never played through the original. Did you play through Red Blue?
I can dupe you a Mew if you want.
Oh. I heard there's one under a truck if you know how to do the glitch.
Oh, right. And then I wonder if they'll include the error Pokemon. What was the errorred Pokemon?
Missing No? I doubt it.
Put Missing No in there. That'd be cool.
It would be a fun nod, but that doesn't seem like the kind of thing that Nintendo would be into.
Right. But
honestly, that's a sad thing to me that we don't get those kinds of bugs in games anymore. Right. But or at least not nearly as frequently.
Right. Well, instead, it's just Red Dead Redemption where somebody walks through a wall, which happened to me on stream the other day, or guy was floating above the thing he's setting on. Why is it? I want to go back to Pokemon. But why is it when we hate on a game, we will point those bugs out and make compilation videos of those bugs? But I don't see very many Red Dead Redemption compilation videos about the bugs I've seen in Red Dead, and I've seen plenty. I've seen a lot of characters walking through walls. I've seen a lot of characters walking through the mud. I've seen walking, floating above the thing they're sitting on. I don't know why people don't point that out still. I think we still should. Red Dead Redemption is a great game. It's got bugs in it, and that's okay. And it's not the core feature like, say, Mass Effect, the latest Mass Effect, which is just horrible, and those bugs and stuff. But I don't know. It's so weird to see those games unfairly critiqued, and then Red Dead Redemption not being fairly critiqued. It should be fairly critiqued. We should. Yeah. I want a Red Dead. Google this right now if you're listening at home. I'll Google it too as soon as I'm done streaming. I want to see some bug compilations of Red Dead Redemption 2. And not just a funny moments compilation. I want to see one that tears that game apart.
Sure. But I think that's the problem, is that a lot of the bugs that happen in games like Red Dead are amusing, right? They're funny.
Right.
And it's only a problem when they're game breaking, when it stops my progression.
All right. I will say my favorite thing of Red Dead that I've done so far is whenever you're riding along, they try to throw a lot of stuff at you. And so there'll be some guy caught in a bear trap here, or maybe some guy who's fishing, or some guy who's a prospector, or some guy who's whatever, some guy lost in the woods, some guy, whatever. A girl whose horse died in the road and now she needs to ride back, stuff like that. Just hundreds of little encounters like that, hundreds of a huge variety of encounters. One of the encounters I had when I played it the other night, and I actually recorded this on my Xbox, and played on the Xbox One X, by the way, because that's the 4K version. It's native 4K. It looks so good on the Xbox One X. Anyway, I came across a meeting of hooded characters who I will not even say the name of it due to the algorithm. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe they put this in the game. So I lit a stick of dynamite and threw it in the middle of it, and then they all exploded. And then the main character, as I go to loot their bodies and steal their horses to sell them to the folks over in the main town, he says, "You hooded idiots." And I'm like, man, I love this game. This is a good game. I love being able to blow up hooded characters. That made me very, very happy. That said, do you guys plan to pick up the new Pokemon game on Switch? Is that the plan?
Absolutely.
I probably will be. Yep.
Right. Right. So
I'm fine with it not being a core entry series because, controversial opinion, I get bored of core entry games after, I don't know, maybe just beating the main storyline. I'm excited for something new and different. I don't know if it'll be good or not, but I definitely want to give it a shot.
I wanted to refresh my memory, so I'm playing Ultra Moon again right now. I'm on the 7th trial, I think.
Okay.
Just did the observatory trial. And so I'm trying to, I want to make sure that I'd be able to make a full one-on-one comparison to the game. Everything I've seen leading up to this game, I still think it's fair. I think it's going to land at about a 75 on Metacritic. I think user score is going to be much lower than that because a lot of people love to hate on this game. I definitely think it's worth picking up. And then I guess the biggest game left to come out this year, I'm probably skipping Battlefield 5 as a consumer, but I will play it. They'll probably send me a review code, so I'll probably download it. I will dabble with Fallout 76. Smash Brothers, we're all excited about Smash, right?
Oh, I'm so excited about Smash.
I'm incredibly excited about Smash.
So can we talk about Waluigi for just a second? Why is Nintendo doing this? Why?
I think they're just flexing on us.
They're messing with us. That's it.
Yeah.
Because
they want him they know we want him so bad. They're just like, you know what? No.
Right. So here's the thing. For those of you not been following, Waluigi is one of the only characters not ever to be in a Smash game. Wario is in the game, his brother, and Waluigi is not. So at the beginning of this, people started memeing, we want Waluigi. Why is Waluigi not one of the roster's characters? And he's not a main roster character. And then in this last Nintendo Direct, they revealed that Piranha Plant, which is not even a character, it is an obstacle.
Dude, I want to play Petey so much.
Right? Like, I can't. What is happening? That they put a plant as a character over Waluigi. Now I'm fully on board with this memeing. I want Waluigi in this game. Why is Waluigi not? I'm so butthurt about it now. Like, and they said all the DLC characters are done, so whether or not Waluigi is one of them, we don't know. Also, that means there's day one DLC. Or day one on disc DLC for the game. That's kind of frustrating. I guess not on disc, on cartridge.
It depends on if it's free.
Right. Or maybe in the article I read, maybe they were chosen, but they balance those games even long after the game comes out. So they could still be working on balancing it.
When they did the Direct, they announced they had 5 characters and they had not been decided what they were. They were still working on that roster.
Then I probably misread that.
They later, a couple weeks later, they did say, okay, we've decided who they are now.
Okay, good. All right. Well, Waluigi better be one of them because at this point, people are going to riot. What do you think of this? So, those who haven't watched a Nintendo Direct, there is a spirit mode.
That looks like a lot of fun.
That's weird, right? Like, there's a bunch of characters that are represented in the game with spirits this time, and then you can like level up the spirits. There's a lot of grinding stuff.
If you're telling me I can be villager from Animal Crossing and then equip Revolver Ocelot and then go fight a Piranha Plant, I'm way into that.
That's such a different game. Like, what are we doing, man? What are we doing with video games now? I will say,
it's
whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
It is. It's. I will say this last Nintendo Direct, I started getting Smash Brothers fatigue because when they were going into the details of all the different systems, I was like, man, this is too much details. Like, let me play the game. I might want to turn this. I started fast forwarding through the spirit stuff. I was like, I don't need to see this. Yeah, I just want to see the big Piranha Plant reveal that I heard about. Oh my God, it's really his playable character. What are you doing? It could have been like one of the named Piranha Plants, like the one with the cages or something. It could have been like, it could have been any other Mario character. Why Piranha Plant?
I'm super excited about Piranha Plant.
I can't wait to play Piranha Plant. New man.
You know what, Boogie? First day when I come over, I'm picking Piranha Plant and I'm gonna dunk on you. Are you ready for that?
You ready?
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with Spirit Mode. You guys aren't going to play with it. You guys are not. When we get together on the weekends, you guys are not going to play Spirit Mode. You won't even let me turn on Smash Balls, you sons of bitches. Here's the
final destination. No item.
Here's the problem with being friends with these guys. No items, flat plane only, except Flint, who only wants to play on that god awful Zelda level because he wants the match stock only. So that I'm out 5 minutes in, so I have to go like read a book. Okay, it's because I can't play. I'm not good at video games. You guys don't know this. I love them. I'm terrible at them. Come watch me on Twitch. Also, don't watch me on Twitch. That's probably watch Big Breakfast, Big_Breakfast. That's
watch
these guys.
Both.
Yeah, watch us both.
Yeah, that said, you know what, guys? I think we should probably wrap this up. I think we talked about everything gaming related right now that we're excited about. Guys, do me a favor. We want your feedback. So let us know what you think about this podcast idea. Help us come up with title ideas. Help us come up with what you think about the chemistry here. Let me know any technical issues if you had. What do you think about the video? What do you think about the audio? We're going to be reading as much of that feedback as humanly possible. If you made it all the way to the end of this, by the way, you are one of the champs. I can't believe you listened to this whole thing. We don't have a sponsor or anything for this episode. It's just a test episode. If you
We're
guys
the
do
sponsor.
want to, you could check us out on here on the channel. You could hit subscribe. You could hit notification bells if you want to hit the videos as soon as they're live. And the earlier you hit a video these days, the better they perform on YouTube, so we'd appreciate it. And of course, while you're down there, there's going to be a link in the description box below to my friends at Big_Breakfast on Twitch. They stream 5 nights a week. Mostly doing just chatting, and boy, it's a lot of fun to watch them play. Weird questions, weird stuff, news articles. They talk a little bit about gaming. It's mostly just bizarre. There's not much like it out there, and they'll probably be live the day this goes live. So check out that link ASAP. Give them a follow, and I think that's going to do it. Any closing things you want to say, Jacob?
I have a couple of closing things. I would also like to request, since we're asking for feedback, send us your weird questions.
Oh,
I think-
right.
Yes.
So I think the plan is I'm going to end every episode by asking both Boogie and Ellis a bizarre question, and we're going to get their hot take short answer, and then think on it for the week.
Do you
And
have
you guys
one?
can answer.
Do you
Oh, I
have one prepared?
I have one prepared, but I'm going to let us do all of our closing remarks. I'll ask the question. We'll get your gut reaction answer, and then everybody can put their answers in the
I'm
comments.
excited for that. Ellis, what do you think, man? Any closing arguments? Anything you want to say?
Oh no, I'm too excited about weird questions.
I know.
Now. Everything
All
else
right.
is
So what kind of
last
weird
thing
question? I think the last weird question I heard from you guys was like, how many pancakes tall are you or
How many
something?
pepperonis tall?
How many pepperonis tall are you?
formula.
That's weird. Okay, let's.
There's an algorithm to figure it out.
I had
Okay.
to do research.
Yeah. So what's our question this week?
All right. So before I say it, I want to say thank you to everybody for listening. And Boogie, Ellis, what % dog do you think you are? What percent?
What?
Dog.
What percent dog am I?
I'm 200% dog.
I'm 15% dog. What % dog are you, Boogie?
I'm Snoop Doggy Dog. What percentage dog?
I'm 200% dog.
What did
I'm more dog
Jacob?
than
Did you have an
dogs.
answer for that?
Yeah, I'm 15% dog.
How do you arrive at? Okay. All right. So let me see.
This is not what I intended to happen. I intended to get like a hot take a reaction where they answer the question and then the podcast ends. The plan was no discussion, but let's discuss it.
No, I have to discuss this. How are you 15% dog? What does that mean?
Wait a minute. Hang on. You're more concerned that he's only 15% dog? than me
I'm
being
concerned that you're
200%
any
dog?
percent dog. Well, you're supposed to be a people.
I am.
We're supposed
Is this
to be
why you
people.
eat out of the floor at my house?
Yeah. That's part of it.
Is this why you're always licking
Also-
your own butthole?
And dragging it on the
Can
carpet.
you say-
But I'm very loyal, okay? So there's
This is
that
true.
too.
I will say, now that I've bonded with Sammy, and Sammy is the only thing that's alive that I wouldn't, sell for $1. I mean, I like you guys. We're friends or whatever. But I'm just be honest with you. If the
get
Son of Sam stuff ever happens, and Sammy's just like,
You're gonna have to kill and eat Jacob.
you're getting killed and eaten. It's just happening, man. I like.
I
this
don't even
stuff.
blame you. I don't even
I
blame you.
might be as much 100%. I might be as much as 100% dog.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Ellis,
Still 200.
that's
Still
weird.
200% dog.
Guys, this has been an Untitled podcast. Let us know what you think for a name in the future. Brought to you by this little. Oh God, the entire
Brought to you by
screen
dogs.
load. Brought to you by this little loot goblin. Oh
Yeah.
guys, as
Great.
always, thanks for watching. We love you very much, and I'll speak with you again soon. And this is just going to end right here. Normally there would be like a pre-post roll or something, like a Francis sketch audio or something at the end. But you know
We'll
what?
miss you.
It's just us saying goodbye. Good night, sweethearts. Well, it's time.
Come watch me
to
stream.
Go watch him stream. Bye, guys.